you going to buy a PS5 Pro?
Why would I? Why would I ever want to do that?
That is the correct answer. That is the correct answer, my friend. Look, I mean, I guess if you're a hardcore PlayStation enthusiast and you're one of those dudes or like one of those people that's just like super, super hardcore about like the graphics and the output and like the power, then go for it. But I don't know who this is the target audience for.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
All right, let me give you an
did
answer.
you watch the videos where they have and see the images,
Yeah,
side by side comparisons between PS5 and PS5 Pro?
Yep.
Am I blind, or are they showing me the same image twice and telling me that it's two different things?
I'm not going to say you're blind because there is a difference. There's just not a noticeable difference really to drive home buying something new.
But that's the whole point.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
they're trying to be like, oh, it's like, look at the detail in this, because in one point of the video, I think they were like, this is my favorite way to show it off, and it's like, wow, what was it? It was like some level from like, what was it, like Ratchet and Clank or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is? Are a few pixels in the background slightly sharper? I don't get it. Like, I don't mean to completely like bash the idea of a PS5 Pro, but also, I mean, there's absolutely zero need for it.
I feel like this generation there's not. Like, we've talked about this ad nauseum almost. Like, look, last generation made sense. 4K was not readily available when Xbox One and PS4 launched, right? It became more readily available, more cost friendly for us consumers, whatever. Xbox One X, PS4 Pro, that made sense because it was the upgrade to 4K that became easier to obtain, cheaper to obtain. This makes no sense to me.
They're just doing it for this because they got used to doing it. They did it.
Yeah.
They did it in the Xbox One era. Mm-hmm. It's like they look at it. They're like, oh, well, there's a decent chance that like Microsoft might end up doing one. I mean, on that front though, they would need to do it more so than Sony. Not even for the Xbox Series X necessarily, but for the S.
Yeah, the S, yes.
But like I said, there's one game that I've played on my PS5 that showed any signs of strain on it, and that was Black Myth. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I haven't played anything that I could have told you, oh yeah, this machine needs to be more powerful.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. Nobody's utilizing all the power of the PlayStation 5 because most of the games are on Xbox anyway, and they got to optimize for the S.
Right.
So nothing is utilizing all the power.
Yeah. I mean, there's only been a few cases that really felt like, okay, this is kind of next gen, but it wasn't anything like groundbreaking per se. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Insta Switch fast travel stuff of Spider-Man 2, that had some next gen feel, but it's still just like, that's not pushing the console's limits. You know what I mean?
No, that's quality of life more than anything.
Yeah, it is. So it's like, with this PS5 Pro, especially at a $700 price point, it's just like, I don't know who this is in the market for, because it's like, I mean, you're going to have a 2 terabyte SSD. That's cool. I have 2 terabytes right now because I can just go out and just buy an SSD or NVMe drive and install it. So shout out to that. You have the upgraded GPU, which is 67% more compute units than the PS5 and 28% faster memory. But like the big thing they keep harping on is like the advanced ray tracing. It's like, well, ray tracing is pretty, but like ray tracing is not enough for me to go buy a console.
Here's the other part of this. Like they list off these percentages. Like it's this much. It's 67% more powerful. It's 38% faster. What numbers mean nothing, because when you show me what are supposed to be your best examples of the benefits of moving to a PS5 Pro, and you're like, look at what it was and look at what it is, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that sign in the background is slightly more clear. Tell you what, I'm never looking at that sign in the background.
Yeah, when
I want to know, I want what is in my immediate vicinity. And I don't want the background to look like ass, but it looks Looks fine. Looks
Yeah.
great. I don't need it to be necessarily sharp. Or you think when I'm playing, I'm gonna be looking at the fucking leaves in the background,
Right.
400 yards away? No, I'm looking at what I'm doing.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's fine, but it's like the listing off numbers that are higher for the sake of being higher, rather than it actually being a meaningful difference to gameplay.
Right.
They're just saying numbers at that point,
Right. Right.
which is kind of my gripe. Like, as you were reading it off, I'm like, that means nothing.
Yeah.
It's like you're just saying you're telling. It's like you're telling your players and the people you're trying to market this towards what you tell your shareholders to, like, in your business meeting. It's like, well, it's going to be this much more powerful. That's why we need to make it. It's like, yeah, but do we need it to be that much more powerful?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
it's $700. Like,
Right. Now, I will say this, and like I saw, some tech experts kind of weigh in on it too, and I agree with them. From what Sony built with the console and the price point, I mean, technically it is a good price based on the components that's in there, because like to get similar power, you would have to spend a pretty decent little chunk for a gaming PC if you went like a PC route, because a lot of people like to immediately look at that. But it's still just like in the console market, leave PC out of this for a second. I understand PC master race. I'm not going to argue with it. Leave PC out of it for a second. The console market, what we're saying is I just don't see, while yes, I agree, like based on the components that's in there, if you compare it to like PC parts, they made a hell of a good deal at a very powerful console. But in the console market, who is this targeted for? Like, it's just, enthusiasts, sure. But it's like there's not a substantial upgrade. Like, that was what made the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X make sense, is that it was a substantial upgrade. And even for this one, dude, it's kind of low-key pathetic in my opinion, because like one thing that, that they also are like touching on a little bit but not heavily promoting is that, oh, this has the ability to go up to 8K. Let's not forget, like, they promoted 8K with the PS5 Pro on the original box and then took it off the box because they weren't able to hit it. But it's still just like 8K is not readily available. Like, when the 4K thing came out in the last gen, again, it made sense. The 4K TVs were becoming more readily available and more cost efficient. I know me and you, I think both of us, we got like, good 4K TVs, at some point at good prices. I know me and another friend did too. It's like, they became, it may not be like the top tier brands like LG or Samsung, but they were still fine 4K TVs. And that's why those consoles made sense. This just doesn't make sense to me. Like, who is the target audience? Like it's like what you're saying. It's like when they're showing the side by side of the games, they're not showing anything to really drive home to warrant this. And then also on top of all of that, if you're like me and you like your physical games, like obviously there is no two bundles. It's a single bundle. Makes sense. I understand the single SKU. They already started going that direction anyway. But then it's like you want to tack on the disc drive. It's like, dude, you're looking at like a $900 purchase probably after tax, if not closer to $1,000. Like, bro, what? Like, that's insane.
the other thing is, it doesn't. Yeah, like the PS5 Pro. The only thing that like benefiting that is going to be for PlayStation developers. Like,
True.
first party PlayStation products are going to be the only ones that really benefit for it, because like I said before, if it's going to be a multi-plat thing, they have to optimize it for the Xbox Series S, or they just won't release on Xbox. But which kind of seems to be more of the trend currently, where it's like, well, we don't know how to optimize for that, so I guess we're not making for we're not releasing for the Xbox until we figure it out.
Right.
It's kind of been the approach some people are taking, but it's also like, it is in a sense, who is it for? And everybody can ask why. I mean, every video I've seen of people like looking at the like reactions to the announcements, everybody's just dunking on it.
Yeah.
Because again, this doesn't make sense, is the biggest thing. Like you said before, PS4 Pro and whatever
1X.
whatever that's dumb as well. I mean, the naming from Xbox doesn't make any fucking sense.
They go by, they do whatever they want.
But for the previous generation, it made sense because if you looked at the technology from when the consoles were released to the end of that generation, it was night and day. But if you look at like the PS5 and Xbox Series generation, there's not as much advancement in technology as far as what you need. I mean, yeah, people, it's like you may hear like developers talking about, well, like along the lines of it's hard to optimize for this generation. It's I'll keep hitting that point home. It's because of the Series S. And as much as I love the Series S, and I'm glad that it exists, it should not.
It should not
exist. We've made the point before. It was an excellent decision for the consumer, a horrible decision for everyone in the industry.
Facts. Because, the thing about the Xbox side of things, we can all agree that any sort of mid-gen refresh for Xbox is not happening because they've already got multiple SKUs coming out this fall. So it's like, it's not going to happen. We can see the writing on the wall. They have the new 2 terabyte Galaxy console. They have the Xbox Series X all digital. They've got the Xbox Series S that has like a larger memory. Like it's not happening. A mid-gen's not happening because if it was, they would have announced it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they really can do one because you would have to upgrade both.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you'd have to upgrade both, and it wouldn't solve the problem for the developer side of it.
No, it wouldn't.
Because
they still have to optimize.
I was going to say they still have to optimize for the Series S, which is probably the console that's out there for the majority of Xbox owners.
Yeah, which if they would have actually gone that route, right, where they would have had like a mid-gen refresh for both, whatever. That dumbass prediction I made at the beginning of the year where game upgrades were going to cost, that might have actually come true on the Xbox side because they had to optimize it. They would have to optimize it for both. Or it's like, what's the point of the console? So, I mean, Xbox is not, they're not doing it because they can't, because they shot themselves in the foot with the Series S. Again, like what John just said, glad it exists, should not exist. Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, that is the definition of like a consumer product that all developers hate.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we shout out the one Suicide Squad dev, which I mean that's a different conversation in the game itself. Right? They're just like, man, I wish the Series S didn't exist, just from an optimization standpoint. What?
It's just I just remembered us talking about that,
yeah,
and then my response just being, I mean, that had nothing to do with why that game failed.
That's true, and that's coming from someone who played it.
I didn't play Suicide Squad.
I thought you did. I know.
Zach played Suicide Squad.
I know he did. I thought you both did.
I wanted to play it.
Oh, but you just didn't. Okay, my bad. Well, I know Zach did. So, but no, with the PS5 Pro, it's just like I know. Like I saw some statements that they're expecting like 13 mil to sell, and I'm just like, I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know if 13 mil. Like I understand
maybe lifetime.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even know if he'll hit that lifetime.
I mean. It will, because it probably will, depending on how long the generation continues to last for.
I mean, that's true.
Because eventually they'll just phase out the base model, and you'll only be able to buy the Pro.
Well, actually, I don't know, because I want to say they phased out the PS4 Pro, where you could only buy the PS4 towards the end of its life. So I don't know. That's a good conversation there. I'm not sure. I will say. I mean, if you don't have a PlayStation 5 and you can dish out the money, then yeah, sure, I guess that's the one to buy if you have the money for it. But
I wouldn't.
I mean, I wouldn't, like, based on what I'm getting out of it, like, and especially if you're like me and you're a physical gamer, right? Like I don't see the benefit of spending $700, really probably closer to $800 after sales tax when I could just probably just do like $500, $550, whatever. Save some money, still get the same thing. Still play the things that I want to play. I'm not like what John says. Like, I'm not paying attention to the leaves in the background and how they look. I mean, if they look pretty, that's cool. Be good for photo mode, but
it's like as long as my PlayStation, like whatever games I buy for it, as long as they run smooth or relatively smooth.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it.
I did see apparently Black Myth is going to be phenomenal in the PS5 Pro. So I guess
I don't doubt that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
This game looks phenomenal anyway.
Yeah, it's like apparently it was tailor made for it. I'm just like, of course it was.
It's kind of the other thing of like, because like I mentioned, or like I just said, as long as my games run smoothly, or at least relatively smoothly, I'm not going to have an issue. But then again, I play a lot of jank games.
Right.
Or like games that inherently aren't necessarily the smoothest gameplay or something. Because I play I've done a lot of random Steam games to try and end up playing. So it's like, I don't, the game just has to be fun.
Right.
As long as it's fun, I don't care if it looks good.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I mean, graphics, like I'm all down for a game looking like this graphical masterpiece, but it's like, as long as the game is fun, that's what matters.
Believe me, as I was playing Black Myth, every time I went to a new zone, I'm like, God damn, this looks good.
Yeah.
I don't do that most of the time, but sometimes when it's just hitting you in the face with how good it looks, you're like, yeah, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, you can't help but to admire it for a second. $700 though, whew, buddy. I will say, actually, no, I won't say because I don't want to promote. I want to promote GameStop. But I was gonna say I saw they had something good going on, I guess. But I'll let you go dig into that. But getting your hands on the PS5 Pro, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be that hard to do. They'll probably be very readily available. If you want to go spend the money, by all means, because we will not be.
If you have a PlayStation 5 already, I wouldn't say go upgrade to the PS5 Pro. I don't think it's worth shelling out $700 for the upgrade if you already have one. If you don't have one,
Yeah,
I don't remember how much PS5s cost right now.
I think it's what 500 and 450 or 550,
If it's
500?
if it's 500 or if
It's
it's around
500.
500 for them, it might be worth going ahead and getting the newer one, like the Pro. But again, that's you're shelling out almost half of almost an additional 50% to have that one. I wouldn't be able to justify that to myself.
Oh no. I'm very happy with my day one PS5 in there with my Spider-Man plates. So I will not be upgrading. I'm good. Like even with the PlayStation and the Xbox, I didn't upgrade to those either. Even though
I didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, like even though those kind of made more sense, I was still happy with what I had. It was fine. So I don't know. PS5 Pro, it's been something, man.
I will say that I just thought about it. I was like, what was I playing on my PS4 like towards the end of that generation?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, it was like God of War and Digimon. It's about all I played.
Yeah.
For the most part, because I'd go back and I'd replay like Cyber Sleuth or something like that.
Cyber Sleuth is so good.
And it was like, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I was playing. That's why I didn't upgrade. I didn't need to for those games.
Didn't need to, man. Cyber Sleuth is so good, bro. I'm so glad that they got bundled for the Switch. Big fan of that. Pick that one up. Have not beat them since they've put that.
I've got an ongoing playthrough on the Switch that I go back to every now and then.
Yeah, so do I. I'm working on the first one right now. Really enjoy those games, man. I really wish they'd make another one. I don't know if they will though.
They might eventually.
Maybe one day. That or we'll get Digimon Survive 2.
I mean, I'd fucking love that.
I know you would. Even though you were convinced the game didn't exist. Which is fair. You were valid in thinking that.
Anybody that did think it existed was foolish.
Oh, geez. Shout out.